For more than 6 decades, Sir Cliff Richard stood as a cornerstone of British music, the Peter Pan of pop, whose seemingly endless career defied time. With over 250 million records sold and hits across 6 consecutive decades, his voice and charm became woven into the fabric of British life. He wasn't merely a pop icon, he was an institution, as familiar as the monarchy itself. Then, without warning, the impossible happened. The man who had always been there, on the radio, on television, on stage, suddenly disappeared. No farewell tour, no official retirement, not even an explanation. One moment he was everywhere, the next he was gone. For someone who had performed continuously since 1958, this vanishing act was more than unusual, it was shocking. The performer who had navigated every musical shift from rock and roll to disco and electronic pop was suddenly silent. No albums, no interviews, no Christmas specials. It wasn't just absence, it was erasure. Today, we uncovered the story behind Cliff Richard's mysterious disappearance, a saga of betrayal, legal turmoil, and emotional devastation that nearly ended both his career and his health. The legend who couldn't fade. To understand why his sudden silence was so unsettling, one must grasp the extraordinary place Cliff Richard held in music history. He emerged in 1958 with Move It, hailed by critics as Britain's first genuine rock and roll record. From that point forward, Cliff achieved what no one else in the British charts ever had, hit records in every decade for over 60 years. Even as trends changed and new artists rose, his presence remained constant. A veteran music historian once described him as a living institution, the only performer to survive every musical revolution and still matter. While younger acts came and went, Cliff remained timeless. His voice, optimism, and clean-cut image made him a cultural fixture. He wasn't just successful, he was everywhere. Whether performing at royal variety shows, appearing in Christmas TV specials, or entertaining audiences during Wimbledon rain delays, Cliff's presence went beyond pop music. His face and songs were part of British collective memory. That's why his disappearance created such an eerie silence. The man who had released at least one album nearly every year since the 1950s simply stopped. The performer who filled stadiums into his 70s suddenly canceled everything. Fans wondered what could possibly drive one of the most enduring artists in history into hiding. The answer began with a single day that turned his life upside down. The raid that changed everything. On August 14, 2014, while Cliff Richard was on vacation in Portugal, he received a phone call that shattered his world. Police from South Yorkshire were raiding his Berkshire home in connection with an old sexual assault allegation dating back to 1985. But what made this incident so traumatic wasn't just the allegation, it was how it was handled. A BBC team had been tipped off beforehand. As police entered his property, a helicopter hovered above, broadcasting the raid live on national television. Commentators speculated openly, while Cliff, still abroad, learned of it through friends who were watching it unfold on TV. It felt like being publicly hung before any investigation had even begun, one close associate recalled. Cliff was never arrested or charged, yet the world saw his home invaded in real time. For a performer whose image was built on integrity and faith, this was catastrophic. The presumption of innocence, a core tenet of justice, evaporated instantly. Within hours, his reputation was under assault, and the emotional impact was devastating. According to those close to him, Cliff went into shock. He experienced uncontrollable trembling, sleeplessness, and dramatic weight loss. It wasn't the accusation itself, he knew it was false, said a member of his management. It was the betrayal, the humiliation of being treated like a criminal in front of millions. That moment began a 4-year ordeal that nearly destroyed him. The hidden health crisis. What the public didn't see during Cliff Richard's absence was the private collapse that followed. At 73, under immense psychological strain, his health deteriorated rapidly. He lost over 2 stone in a few weeks, developed shingles, and, according to friends, showed signs of post-traumatic stress, panic attacks, sleepless nights, and confusion. He'd wake at 3 a.m. drenched in sweat, unsure of where he was, one longtime friend recalled. It was heartbreaking to watch. Doctors feared that the ongoing stress might trigger a heart attack or stroke. The man who had performed tirelessly for 60 years suddenly looked frail and haunted. Meanwhile, the investigation dragged on for nearly 2 years without any charges. Each passing month extended the uncertainty and deepened his isolation. He avoided public places, fearing photographers or confrontation. At times, he lived almost like a prisoner in his own home. He essentially became a recluse, explained a security consultant who worked with him. He moved between secure locations to avoid harassment. For someone who'd always been so open with fans, that isolation was torture. Medical professionals later revealed that the stress he endured could have been fatal. The fact that he survived at all is remarkable, said one physician familiar with similar cases. For someone in their 70s, that kind of psychological trauma can have permanent physical effects. The ordeal permanently altered Cliff's relationship with fame and with the public institutions he had trusted all his life. The financial aftermath. Beyond the emotional and physical toll, the financial fallout was staggering. Defending himself through 2 years of investigations and lawsuits came at an enormous cost, reportedly over £10 million in total. His legal defense alone exceeded £3 million, involving multiple Queen's Counsel and specialized teams representing him in separate actions against both the BBC and South Yorkshire Police. Meanwhile, cancelled tours, albums, and television appearances wiped out years of income. A planned album and autobiography were delayed indefinitely. A major concert tour had to be scrapped, costing millions in lost revenue. Even his real estate suffered. His Berkshire home, the scene of the televised raid, became unsellable. Its association with the scandal destroyed its value. When he eventually sold it, he reportedly lost nearly £800,000. As one financial advisor put it, people think legendary performers are immune to financial strain. But when you're fighting the system itself, the costs are astronomical. And Cliff was in his 70s, when most are thinking about legacy, not survival. These combined losses, both emotional and financial, explain why even after being cleared, Cliff did not rush back into the spotlight. Recovery, physical, emotional, and financial, took time. Vindication that came too late. In June 2016, nearly 2 years after the raid, the Crown Prosecution Service officially announced that Cliff Richard would face no charges due to insufficient evidence. He was innocent. But by then, the damage had been done. As one reputation expert explained, when someone's accused so publicly, the stain never completely fades, even if they're proven innocent. Determined to clear his name fully, Cliff launched lawsuits against both the BBC and South Yorkshire Police. The legal battle lasted another 2 years, forcing him to relive the trauma through testimony and cross-examination. In July 2018, he finally won. The High Court ruled that the BBC had violated his privacy in a serious and sensationalist manner. The victory awarded him around £2 million, a symbolic vindication, though it barely covered his total losses. Still, the toll was immense. 4 years of his career, irreplaceable years in a performer's 70s, were gone. For younger artists, that's a setback. For someone in his 70s, it's a lifetime. The experience fundamentally changed him. A cautious return. When Cliff Richard finally reappeared after years